That subscriber content, eh? That subscriber content, it just won't go away.
It might hibernate from time to time and sink back into the swamp. I think the cyclical nature of the universe in which it exists demands it adheres to some of its rules.
But it's always waiting there, just around the corner, ready to make its way into your ears and smash through the gated payment system, sounding better than ever.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Benefits such as getting ad-free episodes a week early with pre- and post-show chat relating to the monkeys, last Shadow Puppets episodes, bonus podcasts, watch-alongs, plus helping us improve our sound with better equipment and services.
Yeah, this podcast seems like it's fading away sometimes, but with subscribers, it will never die. Thank you very much for listening. We do truly appreciate it. Don't take that the wrong way.
Yeah, we'll invoice you for the subscription if we need to.
We're Arctic Monkeys. This is Don't Believe the Hype.
That rock and roll, eh? Ladies! That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question. Cheers, dude.
That man just yawned.
What do we call it?
Don't Believe the Hype.
Hello and welcome to season 4, episode 14 of Don't Believe the Hype. And you're going, oh no, Dan's doing the intro again, which means we have to sit through another torrid solo episode of him talking about a song. Don't worry, it's not the case. Nick couldn't make it this evening because of some schedule difficulties, but we have had a super sub. So we call you a super sub. That's a term that we use in football here for when somebody comes in and scores a goal or something, the substitute. So we'll call you a super sub. Justin has come in to stand in for Nick because he can't make it. So hello, Justin.
Yes, hello. Thank you for thinking to have me on this episode. I appreciate it.
No, it's okay. And it's worked out quite well, as we'll get into later, because this is obviously lyrically a very English, a very Britishism, which I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't think I have the jingle available at my disposal for that one tonight because we're on a different system. But
Put it in post.
British. Put it in post. Put it in post. It's clearly going to fit that bill when we get to the lyrics. But yeah, thank you for joining. And I said, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, which is weird because this is going to go out on this is probably going out like the 21st of January, so there's not much point in it. And we recorded
we're so far removed.
Yes, but I'll ask you your Christmas was in the pre-show, so I'll ask you how your New Year was in the New Year's Eve was in the main show.
Yeah. New Year was good, except it was funny to listen to you guys talk about your New Year's, or maybe it was bonfire night, because it sounded like we don't have bonfire night. And but it sounded like the way you guys were talking is how New Year's happens here, where people are doing fireworks all the time for like a week, just randomly doing fireworks.
Yeah, that is pretty much it. It's horrible for dogs. But bonfire night here is a very strange night, which basically celebrates someone who tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament many hundreds of years ago and died in the process. So I don't know why we burn effigies of him on a bonfire, basically. Well, we don't. I mean, spoiler, I hate fireworks and I hate bonfires. So it's where this chat. It might have been on bonfire night that we talked about that, or it might have been on Don't Sit Down because I moved your chair.
Don't Sit Down,
we talked about it because of the whole lyric alluding to it. But yes, it's horrible. But was it? What did people? Because it's kind of an excuse to get quite drunk here New Year's Eve, as many things are in England. Is it kind of big parties in America as well?
Yeah, it's mostly just like house parties typically. And it's interesting because so the tradition here, which I just assumed was the tradition everywhere until I moved to Korea, was that everybody just waits until midnight. You watch the ball drop. You typically drink champagne or just drink a lot. And then shortly after you go home, but then also too, people are doing fireworks, especially at midnight, but just any time before. You can buy fireworks just at the local supermarket here. They're always selling them around this time. But in Korea, the tradition is people wake up to see the first sunrise. So instead of waking up until or staying up until midnight for the year to change, they wake up super early to go to the beach or to climb a mountain or something to see the sunrise for for the first time.
wow.
Like it's the first day of the new year. So I was like, oh yeah, actually, I guess I don't know what everybody does on New Year's.
You see, this is why like our countries are the worst. Isn't it? 'Cause that's like a really
We're just
beautiful
getting
thing
wasted.
to do.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're just got nothing about us, have we at all? Awful. I mean, mine was that. We we go from bought a ticket to a rock and roll bingo event,
Okay.
which I mean, it had a picture of Alex during AM on the front of it, which kind of sold me on it. And it was essentially they play a rock song, and if you had it on your bingo card, you'd just mark it down, and then there'd be prizes and stuff. And it was quite fun because everyone was drunk and up and singing and everything. No Arctic Monkey song during the entire event, which made me want to go and complain, saying you can't put Alex. I mean, I know it's random because it's bingo, but not
False
one
advertising.
a false advertising. I expected at least "Are You Mine" to come on. That was my least expect. Like I knew it was going to be an M song, but yeah, off. I was a bit peeved by that. But other than that, it was gave me a chance to scream out "My Chemical Romance," Black Parade on a table with there was a bunch of 18-year-olds next to us that we got quite friendly with, which was funny because we're so much older than them. To sing "My Chemical Romance" with some 18-year-olds like I was 18. So there you go. So
Reliving the youthful days.
Yep. But yes, we are here to talk about, speaking of youthful days, to talk about a track called I.D.S.T, which stands for If Destroyed Still True, which is something that we we'll get into in the lyrics, but it's something that we do here in England at school, which is perhaps mental. Explaining it to someone from another country might be mental, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm sure you probably already know, but me trying to explain the point of it is going to be funny. But shall we have a listen to it? And we have a rare treat tonight. We don't have a live version for obvious reasons, but we can listen to the full track because of the short nature of it. So shall we have a listen?
Sure.
I have to say, despite it being a sort of short and silly song, I do actually musically very much enjoy listening to it.
It's really fun.
It's
It's
just
I
fun, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
don't have a problem with this song. Yeah, it's really fun.
It's just a bit of sort of rollicking fun. It's a Helders led tune as well, which is always good vocally. And there's a reason for that we'll go into in the information. But well, there's a reason. Well, yeah, that made me sound like I'm saying like Alex like was ill or something and he couldn't sing, but that's not. There's a reason why they did it that way is what I'm trying to say. But it's I really enjoy it. I've always liked it. I love the Suck It and See B-sides actually. They're a bit. Some of them are good. Like I generally think like Bondersonic's quite fun and Evil Twin is like. Well, obviously we're going to get to that, and I think you're going to join us for that episode again, all three of us hopefully. And Evil Twin is just an absolute tune that I'm sure we will have a lot to say about. and then the sort of Miles ones and the Richard Hawley ones are a bit more silly fun and stuff like that. And so it's I really do love the B-sides in this sort of. It was the most. I used to call them Queens of the Sheffield at the time because it was these sort of B-sides were the most Queens of the Stone Age I think they've ever sort of Desert Rock they got. I think like in true Desert Rocks, because by the time they get to AM, they'd moved into sort of their own kind of hip hop desert rock sort of blend sound. But these were just kind of rollicking rock tunes at this point. So yeah, I mean, does it? And obviously to us, the lyrics are funny because of them being linked to us. But I imagine when you listen to it for particularly the first few times, you had no connection to the lyrics. Did you have any opinion on what I.D.S.T was before you knew?
I did not. And actually, I had to clarify. I mean, I remember looking it up at the time it came out, but this isn't a track that I play often, even though I do like it. But so it's not something I think about. So even though we're going to talk about it today, I was just like, I think I know what it means, but no, it doesn't. It didn't really represent anything to me in its meaning, and really it's just a fun, like, it really just kind of fits I think the other lyrics though represent the kind of youthful vibe, so it comes through even though I didn't know what it meant, like just the fast-paced nature of the song and the lyrics of everything else, it just kind of made sense, I guess.
Yeah, they do put that across quite well, and obviously in this era, there's a lot of that as well, isn't there? In terms of because I imagine that perhaps anyway throughout this album, there's been several references probably that didn't resonate if you weren't from the UK, because there are still some very UK references in it. But I imagine the nature of the melody and the way that he's singing and performing it got across that it's something youthful or something like that. I imagine just in the way he does it, like Flesh Adolescent, which I know is one of yours. So it's on your favorite album. There's a lot of references in that I imagine originally you had absolutely no idea what he was talking about. So, but he comes across just from the melody and the way that he performs it. I always think, regardless, which is I'm trying to think of like reverses of that with American stuff that has references. I guess any kind of, when I hear like a Killers song, and I kind of know. It makes me think of like sort of Plains of America, despite the fact that I have or things that but that's probably because we see a lot more of your pop culture, I guess, than perhaps you see of ours. So maybe,
I
in
guess
terms of like
maybe
stuff.
country songs. I guess maybe that would be more in the realm of country, as if you could listen to it, because they're very like story driven too. If you could listen to a country song and completely understand what they're talking about, that would probably be the closest equivalent.
I couldn't have 2 months ago, but I have just watched all of Taylor Sheridan's TV shows like Yellowstone, etc. on Paramount over the break. So I feel like now I'm well versed to get any country reference that I require. Whereabouts in Florida are you based at the moment?
So the northeast Florida, so it's actually quite close to Georgia. So my area is Florida has a lot of different vibes, I guess you could say, but because a lot of people retire here, there's also a large Spanish community because of Puerto Rico and Cuba. But then where I'm located is very close to a lot of the southern states like Georgia and Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina are just a few hour drives away. So it's very much got that a lot of that vibe going on here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, any of us that followed the U.S. election even loosely know that there's Puerto Ricans in Florida.
Yes,
but yeah. So you're not coming to us from a yacht in Miami.
No. Not Miami vibes.
Is it with the Bayou? Is that Florida, or have I got that?
Bayou is more Louisiana, but we do have like swamplands more toward the south and center. So I'm not even quite there in the swamplands.
Right.
So
because I was going to ask, because I'm terrified of the idea of seeing a crocodile or an alligator in real life. So I didn't know if
we do see them. We do see them here, even where I am. Yeah, we do. Like they'll get into your pools, and we have a lot of
wow. What?
We call them retention ponds. They're just like little lakes in like communities and stuff. They'll be in there a lot. You have to be careful with your, especially small dogs getting out.
Oh no.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh god, that's
they'll
horrifying.
kill small children sometimes.
Yeah, I remember there was an alligator kid at Disneyland or
Disney
something
World,
around
yeah,
Disneyland,
yeah.
didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's depressing to talk about, so we should probably move on.
Yeah.
Because
I.D.S.T.
go from partying on a yacht in Miami to alligators eating small children in 2 sentences there. I guess that's the wide span of Florida for you, everyone. So yeah, let's get into some information on this tune then.
The information action ratio is the place to go.
I.D.S.T is just 1 minute and 48 seconds long, with just 3.9 million streams on Spotify, which is the lowest B-side stream of this era, therefore the lowest stream of this era as well. But
That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
what do you think is the lowest streamed B-side of the next era? And this will be the last chance we have to do this, because you can't really do that for Tranquility.
Yeah, there's
or the car.
Yeah. Ooh, I know which one I immediately think it's not, which is the very popular Stop the World. So, I mean, I would have to guess 2013. It would have to
You would be correct in that.
Okay.
But I mean, it's comparatively it's comparable to this song in a way. 2013, silly lyrics, bit of a rock riff, bit of a goof, but because of the behemoth that is AM, even though it's the lowest streamed one, it still has 11.6 million streams.
Oh wow, okay.
So yeah, so it's not nowhere near as low as this one, but it is the lowest of that era. But yeah, the B-sides significantly drop off now. We have 3 for AM, then we have 1 for Anyways, and then we have none for the car, unless they release that one that Nick's still hanging on, that he thinks he figured
Holding
out.
out hope. Even when you were talking about this album, when they were talking about recording with James Ford, and he said, "Oh, but there was one song that was too difficult, and we ended up not releasing it, or something like that." And I'm just like, how many songs are out there?
Yeah, I know. I know that one. That was a real surprise when we found that out. What's out there? What have we got somewhere? I mean, who knows whether they repurpose that at some point into a song that we know now. But yeah, could have ended up being Are You Mine or something. Who knows? But the song is 82 beats per minute, is in the key of A major. So we still got the majors going with there. We're gonna get a full house, I think. The song has been played. Although if anyone fucks us over with that, it's going to be Miles. I can feel it. Of course. The Miles fun ahead later is what I'll tease. The song has been played live not once by the band, of course, but in an interview, Alex Turner, you all know who that is, said I.D.S.T stands for If Destroyed, Still True, and is considered the second part of Brick by Brick. He said, "It was probably the first tune we had for this," which is mental. This is the first song they wrote for Suck It and See. We're also working on... Oh, no, sorry. He said... Sorry, Brick by Brick was the first song they had for Suck It and See. I apologize. Okay. And then he said, we're also working on Brick by Brick 2.0. It's called I.D.S.T. Do you remember that when you'd write on a bus seat or whatever? I love whoever I.D.S.T. If Destroyed Still True. So that's Irons in the Fire Now. So it's kind of seen as a spiritual sequel to Brick by Brick, which is what I meant by... Maybe that's why Helders is singing, because it's Helders singing it. It's a rock riff. It's a bit silly. They're taking the piss a bit, having a bit of a laugh. So I guess it does make sense as a sequel to Brick by Brick. But maybe they should have billed 2013 as the trilogy, the end of the trilogy, and then people might have. Although I guess that kind of would have been like Godfather Part 3, I suppose, compared to the other two, because they're not that bad. But although I do love 2013, and I will defend it on the episode to the death.
Oh, good luck.
Feel free to join for that episode. You and Nick can try and destroy me. I won't let you.
I made an interesting note about this one, and one of the reasons that this struck me the first time I ever heard it is that, to me, it feels like tradition, because every album has had a song just like this that's fast and short, and so it makes me think of the old days, but also just stays consistent with every album, because on Whatever People Say I Am, you had Sticking to the Floor. on you had Nettles for Favorite Worst Nightmare, and you had I can say I guess you could go I think Sketchhead for Humbug, but I guess you could do the other really short one. Oh my god. I haven't got my Strange.
I haven't got my Strange. Yes, yeah, that would be good. Also for Favorite Worst Nightmare, you could also have If You Found This Is Probably Too Late as a short, fast one.
That's on. Oh yeah, on Favorite Worst Nightmare. Yeah.
And then this for Suck It and See, 2013 for AM, and then obviously not after then because drastically changed after that. So much more serious. But there is a bit of a fan base joke with this song, which I found out today that I had no idea on the internet, is that people think he says Heidi has tea. So people say Heidi has tea. And once you believe me, now I've told you all that, when you re-listen to the song again, you won't be able to unhear that. In fact, tell you what, let's have another listen to it, shall we? Well, there you go. That's
pretty good. That kind of makes me love it even more, honestly.
yeah. Heidi has tea. So yeah, I think that's probably come from internet, because obviously, if people in the US did listen to it and had never heard the term I.D.S.T, I could see why Heidi has tea could be. Imagine when that was before. Was that before they had lyrics on Spotify to the song? So you just had to.
Oh yeah, probably
accept that that's what it was. Obviously, we have no samples for this. There's no ghost cookies, and unfortunately, there was no gear information out there either. But I would hazard a guess that it's similar gear to something like "Don't Sit Down," and but it's slightly heavier, isn't it? The bass particularly is very heavy in this, as we'll get into in the music.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if there's another bass that sounds like that. I mean, everything else I would say Evil Twin or Brick by Brick.
Yes, we might. You know what I predict we might get some gear information for Evil Twin with it being a sort of more established B-side. So based off that, I have been wrong before with the B-sides. There's usually very little out there, but so maybe we'll know then. We can retroactively say this is probably the pedal that's used on that as well. But yeah, no gear unfortunately, but we do have our enemy list in the reviews. Okay, so Suck It and See fared pretty highly in the enemy list this era, didn't it?
Yeah,
so
I was happy with
enemy,
the list,
very, very good. I was happy. Apart from as I was saying in the pre-show, the "Don't Sit Down" thing, which doesn't really bother me. I was just confused by it. But maybe some people, maybe you also think like "Brick by Brick's" a better song than "Don't Sit Down." But the list is 104 songs. Because they don't have the car in it. So obviously there's actually 114 Arctic Monkey songs, but they're only rating 104. There's only 10 songs on the car, isn't there? Yeah, that's right. There's 10 songs on the car, isn't there? So, and no B-sides.
11?
Is there 11? Okay, so 114, 115.
15-ish, yeah.
So where do you think they put I.D.S.T in that, if you were to guess?
So we're ranking out of 104, you said? 105?
Yeah. Okay. Where would you put it out of 104, do you think? I mean, we'll get you on for our final list, which will be horrible, but...
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this is, I mean, in truth, is even though I do like it, their catalog is so solid that, I mean, it would still, in honest truth, be in my bottom 10. I mean, but just that's because of process of elimination. There's not really a whole lot of songs that I just don't like. And so by process of elimination, it's just going to be in the bottom 10, I would think so.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be one of them where even though I like it, it's going to be hard for it to gain traction over all the great songs that I would rank over it. But they put it at, so out of 104, they put it at 103. So
Okay.
I don't know what's 104, but I reckon I can guess. So they say it's the second worst Arctic Monkey song of all time. Obviously, the car. Oh, sorry, that's my note to say to you. Sorry, I'm reading my own notes. The I.D.S.T is the clear victor. They said of the how many times can the title be repeated throughout the entire song challenge. So there you go. They don't rate it very highly, but again, it is going to be one of them. There's going to be a lot of songs that I like. It's like when we do our Suck It and See lists. For me personally, when I do my Suck It and See list. There's going to be a lot of songs in the album that I really like that are going to end up near the bottom just because of all the songs that I love at the top. So
Yeah.
it happens on. I think that happened on Humbug as well, where it was like, okay, I don't, gonna have to put that there, even though I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But that's it's going. I think your list is going to be very interesting for Suck It and See. I can't wait to see that.
I'm
Come on for the
excited.
wrap up. So we don't have a video, but I was just going to remind people, and we'll do it at the end as well, that Justin does have his own podcast that he runs called Straight Chilling Podcast, which is all about not just horror, is it? There's thrillers and different genres on there as well.
Yeah, we it says horror movie review, but we get pretty loose on that. Yeah. But yeah, within the horror realm, yeah, there's a lot of thriller, sci-fi, and stuff like that for sure.
And what are the socials for that if people want to come follow you? I assume you're on all the usual channels that we would expect. Or
yeah, just all the socials.
Yes,
and I think they're all at Straight Chilling. We have a website too that links everything. It's straightchilling.com.
I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the show notes. And then we can do it. I'll make a note to put it in the show notes. But I actually thought of you over the break because I was watching... Because my girlfriend had never seen The Godfather, and it's one of them where I said, I don't push it because I'm one of those guys that pushes The Godfather on girls. But I said to her, it's a good film, and she was like, and then she watched it and she went, that's like the best film I've ever seen. And I was like, see, it's not just men thinking it. It is genuinely a good film. And then we watched the second one. So then I watched the Paramount Plus show called The Offer, which was about the making of The Godfather. And there was a bit in it where they mentioned Francis Ford Coppola is off making The Conversation, and it reminded me of the podcast that we did on The Conversation, which linked into a lot of Arctic Monkey stuff, which people can find on your channel as well, which was really cool. So, but yes, you have prepared something for this podcast, and I don't know if you have a natural place for it to be, or if you'd like to do it now. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do it now, just because I knew that this episode would be so slim that I thought I'll try to. It was something I was thinking about maybe talking about later, but I know the Second and See wrap up is going to be like really jam packed. So, but no. So yeah, I was like, it'd probably be perfect to talk about it today. So we could do like a bonus round, like a game.
Yeah, I'll do a bonus round jingle. I think it's a good time. Yeah, it is. But I mean, at parts of this, I'm feeling like I'm just filibustering just to keep the song keep the song going.
That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
Here we go.
So this game is kind of more of a segue anyways to a kind of question I wanted to ask you, and maybe it's just a short discussion to have. But to lead up to that, kind of put it in perspective, I thought that this was a fun way to kind of present it. So I wanted to go through each album and ask you to try to guess how many B-sides are in for each album that we have. So see if you can guess, but also too, I presented it in two ways. So it's fine whichever answer you get, because I did it with official recorded released covers as part of the number, but then I also put to the side, this is how many covers. So if you give me the answer without the covers, I have both numbers.
And are we, for the first era, are we including the Who the Fuck Are Arctic Monkeys EP, in there? And Leave Before the Lights Come On? Or...
I do include that. So what I try to do with any professionally released songs that were not included on the albums.
Okay.
And one more clarification is I did attach, we'll get to it, but I did attach Electricity to the AM release because it's attached to Are You Mine, which is on the album. So I just put it there.
Yeah, I see it as a sort of pre-AM time.
Yeah.
Not Suck It and See as much. Yeah, okay. So Leave Before the Lights Come On is also attached to Whatever People Say. I'm not Favorite Worst Nightmare, right?
Yep.
So, that's a good question. Okay, so let me try and I won't take forever and a day. So And officially, when you say officially released cover, you mean like it's on Spotify? It wasn't on like BBC Live Lounge or
Exactly.
the-
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like professionally recorded. Yeah. Like not as part of a live show or anything.
Oh, that is good. I'm definitely gonna forget. Oh yeah, no, I see what you mean. Okay, so I'm gonna go. Are you? Oh, sorry. This is a big one to ask. Actually, are you not? Are you including Beneath the Boardwalk on the
I'm
first
not, but
album
that's going to
one?
be a bonus round.
Okay.
I separated that
Okay.
as like at the very end. Good. Yeah, catch.
Yeah, I thought that because that'd be like 10 extra songs on to what I'm guessing. So, okay, so Beneath. Okay, I think there's that many, and then there'll be. And then there'll be. I feel like I'm almost definitely going to be wrong here when I say for the first era, I'm going to go with 11.
Okay. With the covers included.
Oh, I can't even think of professionally recorded covers for the first era. Oh yeah, sorry, because of the Leopold Lights Come On ones. You mean? Yeah. With the covers, I did include them in my thought process, but I know it's going to be like 2 more or something, isn't it? I've got something. I imagine.
So
wait.
okay. Oh no.
Okay, yeah. No, I'll stick to it. I'll stick to it. I've said it.
11. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're just one off. It's 12 with the covers included. So there's 2 covers. So we have No Buses, Settle for the Draw, Leave Before the Lights, Who the Fuck, Despair in the Departure Lounge, Baby I'm Yours, Cigarette Smoker, Fiona, 7, Bigger Boys and Stolen Sweethearts, Put Your Dukes Up, John, Chun-Li, Spinning Bird Kick, and Sticking to the Floor. Which one was one was not popping in your mind?
Chun-Li, but not actually none of the. So I found it quite easy. I got the EPs, the 2 EPs, because I can separate them in my mind as releases, and I know there's that many tracks. And then it's remembering how many B-sides there were on each single. So I knew Sticking to the Floor, Bigger Boys. I guess it was Chun-Li that slipped my mind there, but there you go. The Grammy winner as well is the one.
Exactly.
No, it wasn't a Grammy winner. Sorry, Grammy nominee. Sorry, I should clarify.
Nominee.
Yeah. Imagine if it won. That'd be insane.
Yeah.
If they had a Grammy for that, that would have been amazing. So, actually, can I ask you this? Because I mean, look, you might have any more insight than we do, but I've talked about it a couple of times that it blows my mind that they didn't get sort of Grammys for AM in that category of alternative music when it was quite a big album in the US as well. I thought like when you're looking at because it was like I think it's alternate rock, something like that is the thing, and you look at it and you think surely like Are You Mine or Do I Want to Know would be put in would be a shoe in to win. I mean, I looked at the other nominees, there wasn't anything spectacular, I don't think, but.
So here's the only thing I've thought about that a little bit because listening to the show, and I don't know much about award ceremonies, but what I do know from my personal experience is I saw them live 3 times, one in the Humbug era, one in Second and C, and then one after AM was released. And I remember seeing them. I saw them in the same venue for 2011 and 2014. It was in the same venue in Florida. And even in 2014, the album came out in 2013. The venue was not completely sold out. And I'm wondering if I know it was like a big hit, but I'm wondering if it was like somewhat slightly delayed as a big hit. Like, I wonder if it wasn't like, I remember because I followed them closely and obviously I still went to the show, but I don't know. Maybe it was just delayed.
It may look from my point of view, what may be skewering our vision of it is that they were so not big in America, and then suddenly it seemed like more people did know them, and so that might have. But look, from our point, like the scope of the size of your country is in. You know, there's no even comparison to us here. So, you know, I think you can fit England and Wales in the state of New York. So it's not even comparable. But so maybe we can't quite grasp that even though it seemed like it suddenly went big there, it's still not big in America.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
I think eventually it was, and maybe it just didn't hit until like 2015 fully, or I don't know exactly when it hit, but because I followed them anyways. So I was already going to the shows. I was already looking forward to the albums. So as far as like what else was happening, it's hard for me to say, I guess. That's my best guess.
And that they were had an American footprint very much at the time as well. So that kind of seemed, particularly in LA.
Yeah.
And, they, I think, savvily went on that Black Keys tour that increased their standing in America. I think opening for the Black Keys for a tour so that people that went to that gig would learn who they are and stuff like that. So that was good. But I would say, I'd say the difference between AM from a Brit's point of view and any other was if I watch, when you put in YouTube, like, American fan hear the Arctic Monkey song for the first time or whatever, they never heard of them. There's noticeable ones where when it's like anything pre-AM, it's the first time they're hearing it. But if it's AM, they go, "Oh, I've heard this on the radio." I think that's the kind of the level of difference to even a passing person. But yeah, I mean, if I'm being quite honest, at the Grammys, in my opinion, Why Do You Want to Call Me When You're High should have been in the hip hop category.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. I mean, not that I particularly care if they win awards. I don't think they care. I mean, Grammys a big thing though. I mean, when they win the Brits, no one cares about the Brits over here. It's just a load of crap. But a Grammy is a relatively prestigious. It's the Oscar of the musical world, I suppose, isn't it? A Grammy. So it would have been nice. But it's just so bizarre that the strongest chance they had to get a Grammy was with
I guess so. But their populator. They're so popular now that it is still a little strange though that like even Tranquility, I don't know. Yeah, it's just I know that wasn't like a popular album, but still like I don't know. It is strange.
Yeah, I just think some people just don't win it because though I mean look, award ceremonies are rigged. Everyone knows that it's all about sort of popular culture pop. So some people just aren't going to win them, and winning them in America. The Brits particularly here are just you win it like they won it for AM because even though they hadn't won one for years because it was big, and then when Tranquility came out, they weren't nominated. It's like it's all a popularity contest, really, which is nonsense. But there you go. But we got his Brit speech at least. There's something.
Yeah, we got that one.
So. Yeah, the Brit speech. Okay.
So all right,
which I'm quite happy with. I'm happy with.
That's really good.
It's not. Yeah.
So favorite worst nightmare, with or without the covers, however you prefer to answer. I have both.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. One of them is going to be interesting on this. I'd have to clarify. So, one of them was on BBC Live Lounge in this era, and it was released officially on a CD, which would mean it was on Spotify and stuff, probably perhaps. But I don't know if it is.
Ooh, that might be off for me. I think I know what you're talking about.
It was an Amy Winehouse one, if that.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that was officially released. It is not.
Well, it's not. It's not officially released. They recorded it as a band. It's just that Live Lounge back then used to do a compilation CD where they put it on there. So it's not official. I just wanted to check that you hadn't counted it, but that's good.
I did not.
Okay. Man, I feel like I'm really going to mess this one up. If you... I know I'm forgetting. I mean... And then So if you're including, I mean, I can only think of one. Oh, apart from the one that's on it. So there's one on the CD. I don't know if you've included something we talked about in the pre-show.
I did.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go with 10.
Okay. So this was surprising to me, actually, even though this is my favorite era. It's going to come up again later, but this one was also 12. So the same as the first one. And in my mind, I don't know. I always think there's a lot more favorite worst nightmare than the first one, even with the EP stuff. Because because the singles from the first album really just have like one, Bigger Boys or, Stick It to the Floor. So yeah.
Remember the two I forgot. Yeah, I know which two I forgot.
So yeah, this one with the covers I included with not the Amy Winehouse is and this, sorry, I put them in like crazy random order, but Too Much to Ask, The Bakery, What If You Were Right First Time, Plastic Tramp, Temptation, The Framed Tour, If You Found This It's Probably Too Late, Nettles, Matador, Bad Woman, Diamonds Are Forever, which is the one we talked about, and Death Ramps.
Yeah. I forgot about Plastic Tramp. So Miles fucking me over.
Oh, Miles, always.
Always Miles. And I forgot about this is gonna be really easy post AM. I forgot about I forgot about the death ramps as well. I remembered the EP, but I forgot about the actual song. I think I just did Bad
Yeah.
Woman in the Nettles and forgot. So yeah, there you go too. But okay, close. I'm happy with that. I've not done anything disastrous yet. Now this one's gonna mess me up because there's a load on Humbug. I'm trying, and the annoying thing is I've asked you this bit of wrap up, and you got it like straight away. So I'm gonna have to try and remember.
So yep. So Humbug, with or without the covers, however you prefer.
We'll do with. I'm gonna go with what's in my head as your answer when I asked you. The first thing that popped into my head, because if I try and remember them all, because there's so many, I feel. Wait, let me. I'm gonna say it, actually 13.
Okay. So this was really, really weird to me because, as you said, we played this game before, and so I'm even like paranoid now. It's 8, and I'm worried. So with one cover, I always think that this has the same amount as Favorite Worst Nightmare. I always think in my mind, Favorite Worst Nightmare and Humbug are the huge amount of B-sides. But what we have, I'll try to do them in order. We have Red Right Hand, I Haven't Got My Strange, which were part of the first releases. And then we have Sketchhead, Catapult, Frightline Dining Room, part of the Cornerstone release. And then we have Don't Forget Whose Legs You're On, Joining the Dots, and Afternoon's Hat as the third release. So just 8.
See, what's really messing me up with that? What's messing me up with that is that I remember you saying higher than that, which obviously didn't happen. That I thought Humbug had the most B-sides. And the reason why I think that is because we've said, you know how we kind of had a little tail off where we didn't enjoy Afternoon's Hat and Who Don't Forget His Legs Are On. And I put that down at the time to the fact that we were quite drained because we felt like the era had gone on too long and it was the end. But based off that, it hadn't gone on for too long.
Yeah, 2 months. It would have been, if you did one a week, it would have been 8 weeks.
Compared to Favorite Worst Nightmare. So that it may be then that is the effect of the more downbeat, not downbeat, that's the wrong word, but the Humbug sound
slower
might
nature,
have took its toll on us more doing it every week, because the B-sides are always a bit of a more of a stretch because you've just done the album, you're doing that, and then you get you get less to talk about in the B-sides.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's a couple in this that are fun because we have guests on them and we get to joke about Miles and we get Evil Twin and stuff. But like usually there can be a slight drag. Well, they have been on the first 3 where you just like want to get to the next era almost. Like actually, it was actually, you know what? It was really only Humbug because, to be fair, the first album I found covering that we were just so in, sort of excitement about doing that early stuff. And then the Favorite Worst Nightmare, I've got some of my favorite B-sides in there. So it was really just Humbug that felt like a real drag by the time we got to those, like the 3 that were actually your favorites that you put on the album when we did in the film on the wrap up. So unfortunately, they probably got a worse time than we expected, just because we just felt like, can we move now to Suck It and See? Can we be done with it?
Well, I was just thinking too, I think in your mind, I've played the game twice because on the Christmas episode, you actually gave me Favorite Worst Nightmare questions. And I think that is probably what you're thinking about.
Yeah, because that was closer, wasn't it? Yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably remembering that.
I think that's what you're thinking about.
Yeah,
but I too was surprised. I thought Humbug, just in my mind, it has so much more than a lot of the other albums, but really it doesn't. So
no, not at all. Less than, I mean, that means they have slowly got less, apart from, so 2 were the same, and then they got less B-sides for Humbug, and then they got less B-sides for 60, which I guess maybe lends itself to the idea that they have got to the point where they hone it more in the studio, so they don't have a lot of stuff they cut, perhaps. Maybe that lends itself to that, to the point where now we're at a point where they barely cut anything because they're just focused on the songs.
Well, and also too, so all of that was before Last Shadow Puppets. So if you count like the biggest B-side releases were definitely pre Last Shadow Puppets. So after, I mean, he's making a whole nother band, and then Last Shadow Puppets has
Yeah.
B-sides, and then also too he released the Submarine EP, so that had extra songs on it. That's a lot of writing.
It's only got
To
so
be
many
fair.
songs in him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you
yeah.
know, I think I said this, and I'll say on the wrap up, and particularly on AM as well, is I do feel like as we're, you know, luckily there's a lot to interpret in his lyrics, but the most weeks we have songs about, oh, it's another song about a girl that he's in love with or that's attractive, and he's doing, you know, I said, although I love all the metaphors
Yeah.
about the women, it's the same thing. I can see why he got to the point after AM where he was like, I can't just write another song about a fucking woman.
Yeah.
Like, so that's where we pivoted, which I think is exciting because it's kind of cool. But I kind of started to understand it now that I have to talk about them every week. I go, yeah, he has got a lot of songs about. There's only so many different metaphors you can use for an exciting woman. You know, he's probably thought, I can't do this anymore. I have to switch to obscure space lyrics about current politics and the technology in the world. What a pivot that was.
Yeah, which
But,
I always welcome because I agree with you in that kind of revelation, as it just makes sense. So yeah.
Yeah, and timing, and I think we'll get to it on AM. It's just about that. AM feels for me like the spiritual end of all 5 albums. With the first, I find it very similar to the first album in many ways. It's like the adult version. It feels like the end of this 5-year arc that they've been on, and then it's a natural place to go. Okay, we either stop or we do something else, which I think is interesting. So yeah, you know, most TV shows stop at 5 series, don't they? So you know, that's basically what they stopped, and then they did their Better Call Saul with Tranquility in the car and maybe something else. But am I guessing the Suck It and See ones, or are we...
So Suck It and See, yeah.
Well, I should know this because I've been thinking about it a lot, obviously, recently. So I'm gonna go.
I will say there's
I know that
something
one.
sneaky here. I'll give you a little hint.
You're not gonna get me. I know exactly what it is. Don't you worry about
Okay.
that. Although I will probably forget one now. So, and you put Electricity with AM, didn't you? So
Yes.
5, and I think. See, I've got one that's a recorded cover, but it's whether I'm forgetting something else. But I'm gonna say. Oh wait, don't let me forget Tonight's. That would have been humiliating if I forgot Tonight's, wouldn't it? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna say 6 with a cover.
You are exactly correct. Yeah.
Is that because you've included the Olympics recording of the Beatles?
I
song
did.
Yes.
I did, because if it's on my Spotify, it's included. So yeah, Come Together is available. So it's on my B-sides playlist, so it's on there. So
I'm glad I got my favorite era right. So that's
you did good job. 6, yeah. And then so AM, how many does AM have?
You're gonna get me on the recorded covers here, I think. Although I don't really recall any apart from the Drake Live Lounge, but I could be really wrong with that.
Well, even if you guessed it and you thought like, oh, there aren't any, I've separated covers out anyway, so it'd be fine.
Yeah, I can't really for the life of me remember recorded official covers during AM, so I'm just gonna go with 3.
Okay. This one is 4. Stop the World, Electricity, which I included. You're So Dark.
Sorry, you know what? I forgot you included. So I was right, but I forgot that you included Electricity.
Electricity,
so, Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there are, as far as I know, they don't have any recorded covers here. And then finally, go ahead.
No, I feel like you've laid a trap here for this that I think I'm going to be able to sidestep. I think you're expecting me to have forgot about something, so I'm going to say recorded covers for Tranquility is 2. Recorded songs 2. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, because I put the unnamed.
That weird cover, which I really like actually. When I first heard it, I didn't know it was a cover, and I was like, "This is great."
Yeah, I like it a lot too.
Yeah, I could have heard a whole album of AMs and that. Anyways, and that. Like a whole album of him being a sort of
me too.
Yeah, him being sort of a Burt Bacharach figure for an album would do me just fine. Which is why I was so excited by Mirrorball when I first heard it. I was like, he's done it. They're going to do a sultry sort of 70s piano album. It's going to be a very
and part of it, yeah. And there are other songs that are like in that kind of vein, but maybe that'll be his solo work.
I do think very much we have on the cards that kind of album in his solo work. I think that's very much going to happen, particularly based off what he used to hear with his dad when he was a kid, what we know about that. I feel like we definitely have some kind of piano-based amazing album on the cards, which it'd be interesting if he had a huge solo career, wouldn't it? Like if he actually had a really big solo career, because his fan base have aged to the point where maybe we get that kind of, we're okay with not hearing the fast rapid stuff and we want to hear some nice tunes. I mean, I've said it loads of times, I don't think he gets the credit lyrically for what he's done, and if he was writing lyrics for big artists, the lyrics would sound amazing to people. So, but I won't go down
it could
that
also
rant
be
again.
potentially a moment where sometimes a really retro thing hits the youth just right, like where they're bringing it back in a kind of way.
Yeah.
So if he like kind of strikes that chord, there is potential there for that to blow up.
And he's really is. I mean, I find it so odd when I think about, you see, like, I see on TikTok and things like that, like, 18, 20-year-old girls that just obsess over him. And then I see that he's like 39 and I'm like, this is so odd. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, I can see why a lot of terrible things happened in the 60s and the 70s if this is how people treat rock stars that are older, but there you go. So let's go into
real quick. Let's do Beneath the Boardwalk. I was going to do Beneath the Boardwalk.
Oh god.
Bonus round.
So how does this work? Is this
okay? So I'm going to tell you.
Album?
So anything that did not get professionally released.
Oh, you bastard. This was so long ago that I thought about this now. I haven't thought about it since we did it. Okay. I've just got one in my head at the moment, so I'm gonna go with 5.
Oh, so close. It's 6.
Okay.
So it's Waving Bye to the Train of the Bus, Knock a Door Run, Space Invaders, Curtains Closed, Choo Choo, and On the Run from the
What's your take on those songs? That's quite interesting.
So I really like those songs, and one of the things, the question I was going to pose, which we can maybe even save till Evil Twin later, was my kind of point was that is totally all the numbers combined was all of that is 50 songs minus the cover is 43. And then even if you take the demos away, even if you say, okay, well, Beneath the Boardwalk, take those away too, 38, which is another 3 albums worth of music that they released by the time AM was finished. So by the time AM was finished, they realistically had, like, if you cut out all the covers and demos, they had 8 albums. 8. That's crazy.
I think that because you forget when you're an Arctic Monkeys fan, when I go to other bands, you forget that this isn't a common thing to have loads of B-side releases. It's certainly not something anymore now that we've moved away from physical releases for a lot of people. It's not a common thing to have this many B-sides released. It was always a perk of them that you get the album and then you get another album basically on the side. So which is perhaps why sometimes like the Car, it feels like it's not filled my appetite because we didn't get another 5 songs as well. I could say because the B-sides are always never disappointing, apart from the odd silly one, but the B-sides are almost never disappointing. Even if you don't like the song, it's still a professional song. So it's but then it lends itself again to, what did you say, 38 plus the
38 without the demos or the covers.
And how many tracks are on the first 5 albums? That's got to be 13 on the first one, isn't there? 12, 25,
12, 25,
30,
10, 35, 10, 47.
47, and then AM is 10, or is that
12?
11? Is that
12?
12. So so somewhere around kind of
59. So 109.
And even if you remove the others, 80 something. So so it's you can see why he might have got to the point where he had to change up the writing style, even to the point where they had to put the guitar down for one album, like Rocky wise, and which I do think they came back to in elements of the Car. But I do think there's something to Nick's theory that they were really enjoying the guitar and playing live rock stuff. And I think
Yeah.
that's why we won't see the end of them, and we won't see the end of touring just yet, because they were really enjoying adding those extended instrumentals to Body Paint. And I think we could see, learning to what you said, which I can't remember was on here or in the pre-show, that if they did feel too old to play some of the fasty stuff like Brainstorm anymore, we could see these sort of extended rock things added to old songs and different melodic versions. I mean, I've said loads of times I would absolutely adore a sort of section where he plays like piano versions of Mardy Bum and Suck It and See and stuff like that. That would kill me off, I think, at the gig. That would just kill me there. I've peaked in life at that point, so you just end it there. But yeah, you can just see why maybe you just, it's like if you had to write, from my point of view, if I had to write, yeah, like I say, comparing it to TV shows, if you wrote like 5-6 series of a TV show about the same characters, you're gonna run out of stuff. That's why comedies that go on for like 10 series, the last few series are always a bit like, because you just don't have enough in there for one idea. And he is essentially writing on each album, more or less, barring a couple. All the songs are about a hot girl or falling in love or breakup, aren't they? They're all
A lot of them, yeah.
A large chunk of them, yeah, apart from like some. So I can see why, yeah, he had to step away from that. But and all he got was stick for it. There you go. But if they'd have done, I mean, I genuinely believe in a world where they'd have come out with a 6th album that was still in that world, I think it might have been quite bad. And I think that's the beauty of them, is that they knew that as well.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, I think they knew if we do this again, it's going to be awful. It's kind of over in that sense. Yeah, but 5 years is, quite a long break, isn't it? After that, so like non-pandemic enforced break of 5 years is quite long when they'd done an album every 2 years at that point, pretty much.
So that's the crazy thing about it. If you consider that, I mean, the demos came out in 2005. So if you say from 2005 to 2013, so in 8 years, they essentially released the equivalent of an album each year with the amount of songs that they recorded and wrote. Yeah.
Well, my guitar teacher growing up, he was in bands, used to tell me that if I ever got in a band and got signed, it was never going to happen. If I did, that he would expect me to release an album every year because it's lazy not to. So he'd be impressed with the output.
There you go. Yeah.
But there you go. What, 100 odd songs in 8 years, and then potentially like
Submarine and the first Shadow Puppets album. Yeah.
Oh yeah. In fact, remove Tranquility and Thingy from there. They did all the songs in 8 years, and then in 10 years. 12 years, they've done 12 and 15. They've done like 50, 25 songs. So it's a significant drop in the past decade to the first. But I mean, I guess that's to be expected, isn't it?
Sure, yeah. At that point.
I don't think the quality of the songs, I mean, a lot of people will tell me that the quality of the album since then haven't been good anyway, but I don't think, well, I disagree. But the quality of the songs, if you were still churning out that many for the past 10 years, and we had like,
could be,
on that basis, we'd be on like 8, 10, 11 albums.
Sure.
Would have been a bit, I think that we would have seen a massive drop off. So there you go. But let's go back to I.D.S.T. Well, that was a lovely sideway, and it really bought us a lot of time on what is a short song. So the music on this one, great bass riff.
Yeah, really cool bass riff. Open it up. Yeah, I like the grungier kind of sound.
Wasted bass riff, do you think?
Maybe. I think it's appropriate for what it is. Yeah, it's appropriate.
I don't think so, but I saw some opinions out there on the internet when I was doing my research that people feel like it's amazing that you could waste, which lends to something I've said throughout this album that I'll bring up later on again, but to you, because I haven't discussed it with you, but people thought it was kind of wasted because it could be a bass line in a really good album track or something like that. But I mean, he has so many bass riffs. It's kind of like, do you know when like a billionaire spends like 2 million or so, and it's like us spending £20? Nick O'Malley is the bass equivalent of that. He's got so many bass riffs. He wrote Are You Mine as a bass riff. So he doesn't need to be conservative with his bass riffs. And then we get the guitar and drums coming in. Same riff for guitar as the bass, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it's got a really nice meaty rock sound when it comes in. It's got that kind of, like you say, grungy. It's cool. It's got a nice, good, good drums, sort of stomping along.
Yeah, nothing too crazy, but like still impressive for the speed and just the power behind it.
Yeah, and it kind of comes in with what we said all the way through this album, which is Helders is it has moments where he's let off the hook and goes crazy, but even in melodic ones, like towards the end. But generally, he's just kind of he's what's the term that we always say? He's servicing the song. He's doing what he needs to do for the song. He's not, which is all I always think is a great trend. You know, when people say like, you know, on Tranquility or this stuff like that, melodic ones, he's not getting to be off the hook as much as like he it's almost like he wants to be or something like that. I think having band members that just service the song without caring about that shows that you have a tight knit unit. There's no egos, you know. There's nobody going, oh wait, I need a drum solo in this one or whatever. Like, just everyone's happy to do what they do.
Well, we get Alex talking about, I liked when Alex was saying like, you know, I challenged myself by saying like, I'm going to write less lyrics and I'm going to write in this country style. Like I'm going to challenge myself that way. We don't know that Matt didn't say the same thing, you know, like to himself.
Yeah, well, I know that for Tranquility, he did. And when we get to cover it, he said, you know, people say the drums aren't as prevalent, but what I'm doing is so much more technically difficult than what I've done before, because it's not just hitting them. It's like kind of almost jazz drumming, like something in Whiplash or something. You know what I mean? That kind of, because when you see videos, you compare jazz drummers to rock drummers. The jazz drumming is almost harder because you have to keep it slow and fast and heavy, and you have to be really controlled. And I think going nuts on the drums, if you're good at it, is probably quite, I don't say easy because I can do it, but easier than having a controlled beat that you have to do something with. So I think he found it more challenging to do Tranquility, but you know, can't please some people, can you? So there you go. We're always going to moan, but yeah, you know, much to my annoyance. But yeah, just a fun rock riff at this point, and then it goes down, doesn't it, to just the bass and drums for the second verse, which I really like that.
Me too. Yeah.
And then the guitar comes back in.
I like how it comes back in. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love the way the lead comes in. You know that?
Yeah.
It's got that kind of very old school rock in it. Yeah. I love it when lead does that.
You can like hear him getting ready to play again. Yeah, it's like
I love that.
Really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, I love that live sound of it. And as we know, they kind of just bashed all these out live, didn't they? In a very short amount of time in the studio. So, although we did suspect that these ones were done separate because James Ford isn't credited for the B-sides.
Yeah,
so they may have done these in a studio on the road. It is weird, isn't it? I don't know about the other B-sides. Just the ones on this EP weren't credited to him, so we'll find out, I guess. But yeah, they have done their own before. They recorded their own Humbug ones. So it's a great solo. I do love the solo at the end. This is where Helders does go mental and go off the leash with this one. Really solid end. Really love the sort of rock. It's just a sort of, it's if you were at a gig and they played it, it would just be a mad minute and 48, wouldn't it? Where you'd be jumping all around the place, I suppose. I mean, not anymore, not at age now, but you know, back in the day, maybe.
It very much could. That's what I kind of love about this. If you put this next to some of the demo songs, or even, you know, like I said, Sticking to the Floor or something, it's not that out of place, and that's kind of fun to revisit that feeling, at least. You know, I think of like On the Run from that, or Knock a Door Run. You know, it's just so fast, and they play it as fast as possible, and then it's gone, you know, and it's just kind of fun to revisit that world.
I think it would be interesting if we have you on, like I said, for the for our anniversary for the first album, to get your take on it, because with it being a sort of UK heavy lyrical content, it would be interesting to do Beneath the Boardwalk within that as well, because again, there's a lot of lyrics. I actually think a lot of Beneath the Boardwalk sound is quite American to what they were listening to at the time, like White Stripes and bluesy. But I think the lyrics, like, you know, Knock a Door Run, I'm assuming Knock a Door Run is not something that
we say Ding Dong Ditch. We say Ding Dong Ditch.
That's so much
because we ring the doorbell.
That's so like, it's very sort of musically. I like that. That's kind of like something like it could be a song in The Wizard of Oz, you know. But Ding Dong Ditch, nice. Oh, so you do still do the concept though? You do.
Sure.
So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, kids are twats anywhere, aren't they? Really.
Exactly,
so you get that wherever you are. So they have an equivalent in. Do they have an equivalent in Korea of that as well? Or are they just?
I don't think so. Not that I know.
They're just watching
They're
sunsets. They're not horrible. Yeah. But yeah. So what do you think of the singing? What do you think of Helder's singing in this? You think?
Nothing crazy. Even like, we talk about the guitar, and even though like it's minimal, it still has some elements where it's like cool. But there's nothing that he does inflection wise, or it is what it is. Nothing impressive.
Yeah, and there's obviously a lot of BVs in there from Alex and Nick. I actually thought at one point, is this got Josh Homme in it? Because it was sort of like that deep one, but I think that's Nick. Nick can do
I
quite
think
a
so.
deep BV,
Yeah.
can't he? Because he stood in for, I know at live he used to do Josh Homme's bit of Knee Socks live.
Knee Socks, yeah.
Didn't he? So he's got quite a good deep singing voice. But yeah, it's okay, isn't it? I feel Helders as a BV man. I don't
He
need
is,
like,
yeah.
I'm glad that pretty much these are because I think we're coming up to a track which sets the scene for how the BVs are going to be moving into the next era.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I call them BVs like I'm in the music industry, like I have any right to call them that. What a twat. But yeah, it's just something that I think he moves into in the perfect way soon, and I can't wait for that. But shall we say what covers by now? I've actually struggled with this one, so I'll get you to say yours first.
Okay.
I'm gonna form a covers band and all.
So
I actually
would you cover it?
So if you would like to borrow one of mine, feel free.
No,
But-
I've got one, but it's a bit
Okay.
out there, and it's someone that's dead. So
Oh, okay.
it's dead or
Okay.
alive. So I'll let you do your two first.
The first one was the hives, especially like a Tyrannosaurus hives
that's
type of
good.
sound.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much so. Yeah, very hivesy. Yeah.
And
I don't
another-
know why I didn't think of that. Yeah.
And the vines in a very similar kind of way. Do you know the vines?
Oh, the Vines. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did they do Walkie Talkie Man? Did they do that? No, they didn't do that. Did they?
Get Free is like one of their
Get Free,
big.
sorry,
Yeah.
There was a band here that did a song called Walkie Talkie Man that was a bit similar, and I can always get them mixed up. But yes, I did the Vines. Yeah, they do have that Vines, the hives. So
Yeah.
they do have that similar rock sound, don't they? Really, I could see the
Yeah.
hives.
Just the
Okay, I mean, the hives-
fast-paced shouting. Yeah.
The Hives were brilliant opening for Arctic Monkeys on that tour. It was a great pre-Arctic Monkeys palate cleanser, really, to have the Hives on the stage. It was great. And he also broke his nose at our gig, so that was entertaining. Yeah, he smashed the mic into his face by mistake, and we were all like, whoa. But I'm going to go with... And it doesn't really make sense to me why I'm saying it, because I think it would have to slow down a little bit, but I'd love to have heard a T-Rex version of this. If I could have it, like T-Rex. Not that in any way would they ever cover this or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I would just love to hear a kind of T-Rex version of this. I think, which is interesting that came up in my head because there's a very T-Rex sounding song on AM, in the glam rock world. So yeah. I just would quite like to hear that in their sort of tones, but it would obviously be slowed down a peg or two. And obviously it could always, as a lot of songs like this, could be covered by Queens of Stone Age if they wanted to.
Sure.
Could be covered by any other Josh Homme sort of projects.
Side project.
Caius or, whatever. Yeah, it's... there was someone else that I toyed with as well. I actually toyed with Cage the Elephant because we covered them in the pre-show. That was the album that we covered today. Everyone that might want to join me and Justin went through the self-titled debut of Cage the Elephant from 2008. So I did think it lives in a similar world in parts. So could have had a Cage the Elephant cover of this.
Yeah.
Suppose, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to the covers that we come up with for Evil Twin. That should be interesting. But okay, well, the lyrics. So again, not much on there, but so I don't know what's your understanding of I.D.S.T. then?
So I assume now it's even like based on the lyrics, you write something and then you tag it as I.D.S.T. and it means that even if somebody cleans this up or gets rid of it, like if it's graffiti or something, then the sentiment still remains in the ether of life.
Yeah. Yes. So that is essentially it. So at school, this isn't something that adults do. I should make clear.
Yes.
At school, you would write on a mirror or the back of a bus seat on the way to school, or as they say here, or any kind of school desk, anything like that. you would write like Dan for Jenny, or Dan for Justin, because it's 2025 and we can do it. Dan for Justin, draw a little heart around it, and you put I.D.S.T. if the choice is still true. So if someone comes along and rubs that off the mirror, let's say, then it's still true. It won't be destroyed just because somebody's destroyed it. It's still going to be true forever. You will love them forever, which is obviously ridiculous. But
is it specifically only tied to like romance, or can it also be like, because like with the first line, can you just be like Justin was here?
Yes, you could, and I imagine with it being the UK, and from what I know, being at school in the UK, there was probably a lot of like, forgive me, but Dan sucks cock. I.D.S.T.
Gotcha,
insults with. I mean,
Gotcha.
that there just so if anybody, so it goes both ways. It's sweet and it's not so sweet as well. But I think generally, unless I'm just romanticizing it in my head, I think generally it was linked to fancying a girl you write on the front of a textbook, or and that girl that you fancied in for a day or something like that. So, there was a lot of that. And so yeah, essentially is what it means. But it's cool that they put it in a song. I suppose it's kind of a nice touch to have something. So I don't even know if it extends to all of Britain or if it's a northern thing. To be honest with you, I couldn't speak to that. But I could text when I come to this, I text my friend that lives in London. But then I'd have to explain to him what it was, and it'll take too long. So, maybe I'll report in the future. But so the first line is, I wrote, I was here. Although they say I was here, which is what we would say up north. We drop the H. I.D.S.T. So as you say, they do write I was here on there as well. Yeah, I.D.S.T. So yeah, very much so. On the bathroom mirror, in my head, a school mirror, school toilets mirror usually.
That's what I thought of too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they just repeat I.D.S.T. over and over again. I will put the Britishism jingle in here. I'll forget now, and that'll just be silly now. In the edit.
Yeah,
nothing. No, so this is like the only real thing to talk about. But this line is, I wrote Mark for Jenny, and it is that on Spotify as well. And I know we can't always go off that, but I always thought the line was, I wrote a heart for Jenny. I.D.S.T. So I thought Mark was heart because the way he does it is kind of, Mark. It's just his accent.
Yeah.
Even to me sounded like heart. So yeah, I always thought he said heart for Jenny, which is the same sentiment. So it doesn't really change the line. But I was surprised today to find out that it was Mark for Jenny. And I was kind of in my head. I was like, can we have an interesting discussion on who Mark and Jenny are? And I thought, no, we can't. We have nothing to go on there whatsoever on who Mark and Jenny are.
I think when I initially listened to it in the beat, I thought he said art for Jenny.
That'd be very Alex now, wouldn't it? But I mean, this is another one. Like, if it's Brick by Brick 2.0, they definitely wrote it on a plane journey or something.
Oh,
do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, yeah, definitely. And it wouldn't have even taken that long looking at it. I couldn't believe when I put sometimes when, even on some of the main songs, like Suck It and See It really surprised me because we had a lot to talk about in the lyrics, but when you actually see them written down on a page, you go, that's not very long at all. It feels much longer when you listen to it. But yeah, so, yes, Mark for Jenny I.D.S.T. I don't know who Mark and Jenny are. Perhaps they're just made up names. Perhaps they're someone from school that they knew and they put that in there as a nod. Who knows? It could be anything with those scamps. But he then pivots to, with a drawing compass on the back seat. Do you drawing compass? I imagine this the thing, obviously, that you guys have.
Yeah. Just the way I picture it is just because it's got a sharp edge and he's doing it on the back of a bus seat, which is like not I don't know, not leather, but whatever.
Yeah, on our school buses, they usually used to be leather, but the school buses were so old that it's kind of just worn away to the sort of wood paneling underneath.
Oh, okay.
You're scratching into, or you slit the cut little. Oh, it's like that leather. It's like a sort of carpet almost on the back of the seats in England, and you cut that off and draw on it. But it's so weird to say, but it's kind of carpet. And did you guys used to stab people with that in America? Or we used to stab people? Yeah. Okay, good. Again, wouldn't be doing that in Korea though, would they? No. Respectfully probably draw in sunrises with it, actually. Probably a good way to draw a sunrise. But yeah, the back to this does lead me to something that when I did this, I realized me and Nick, and I texted him and we both went, oh, for fuck's sake. So it's something we're going to have to address in the wrap up. We forgot this series that we used to have a section on this show, last series, where we would play this whenever there is a reference to a car. And we've completely forgot that this series, and there's been quite a few, and there's been one. I think we forgot it all series anyway. We definitely didn't do it for the Bonus Summer Trap, which is the biggest reference to a car. That didn't remind us, but I'm doing it tonight because the back seat is quite clearly supposed to be the back seat of a bus. And I think it is interesting. I don't know how you feel about it, and we'll bring it up on the wrap up actually, and go through the ones we missed. But there is a strong car theme in a lot of the songs, and there is an album called The Car now. They are intrinsically linked to cars, and in my head canon that I've because I'm a romantic at heart, and I think Alex's link to cars is born in the fact that he got a lot of his musical interests growing up in car rides with his dad. I think there's a slight romanticism for cars from that, and that's why we have so many car links and an album called The Car. That's in my head anyway, and I'll ask him that one day, and he'll go, Dan, you get me more than anyone's ever got me in the world, and give me a hug. And
could be. I also wonder too, because I associate the car references like I always have. But yeah, that is interesting because of the California feel, and it's such a trope. Even though he wrote most of it in New York, though, and even in some interviews, he said, "Oh, actually, I associate it with New York because that's where I wrote it." But in my mind, because it's so summery and feels like California, it's the big trope to drive down the boulevard with the palm trees and the cat, and the without the roof. What are those called? What's the car with no roof?
Convertible.
Convertible. Cadillac was the only thing sticking in my mind. Yeah, convertible. So yeah.
Yeah, and it could just be, I mean, look, if I could go through maybe several artists and I'd just see loads of car references, so it might not be anything special. I mean, look, like you say, especially if it's linked to America and open roads, and look, if I go through Bruce Springsteen's catalog, I'm sure I'm going to find a lot more references to cars and motorbikes and stuff than I do in here. But yeah, I think because they have an album called The Car now, but that may only just be because of the photo that Helders took that they used for it. But then he does have the lyric in Mirrorball, doesn't he? Let me walk you to the car. He has cars centered around breakups a lot, which is interesting. Well,
driving away, maybe.
Yeah, obviously, Do Me a Favor, and I think Mirrorball and Do Me a Favor are linked spiritually, lyrically, anyway. So yeah, there's something to do with cars in his mind. Maybe and the backseat of a car when he's got his in the first track of Tranquility, talking about the person being in the backseat. So I think it may not even be the dad thing. I think he has a bit of as someone that writes, he has a bit of a movie cinematic thought process, I think, doesn't he? He's a bit awed by
his imagination.
And cars always play a romantic part in films and TV, like historically and now. So maybe that's it. Maybe he's got a romantic view of cars, but we all do in a way, I think, don't we? I still, when I get in a car sometimes at night, I have a little enjoyment about it. So driving in Korea, what's that like? Is it all right?
The same. They still drive. Oh, actually, it's different for us. So they drive on the right side in Korea, on the left side in Japan. So it's weird. I don't know what's up with that, but yeah, it's pretty much the same. No big difference.
No, like sort of crazy driving, like in they say you go to Germany or
no, it's not like Vietnam. Yeah. No, Vietnam has like all the motorbikes and it's like fucking chaos. No, it's not like that.
Well, my sort of planned trip to LA, my girlfriend doesn't really want me driving. I said, "Oh no, I'll drive from LA to Vegas," and she's like, "No, because you're gonna do something wrong." I'm like, "Let me do it." Although looking at LA at the moment, I'm not sure whether that trip should go ahead. But yeah, for a little while. Yeah, especially if it's like that in January. What's it going to be like in July when we were planning to do it? So yeah, but which is a shame because I always my dream's to live there, but I don't know if it will be there by the time I can afford to live there. Yeah. Well, it will be there, obviously, but I mean, I have a sort of LA fetish, much like Alex. I have romanticized it in my head in so many ways, but which is why I never begrudged them for falling in love with it, because I was like, I'm from a northern British working class town, and if I'd have been able to be in LA like in my mid-20s, I would have been absolutely in awe of it. So yes, so let's do. I have got some little shipping forecast stuff to get through.
Listen to the Shipping forecast.
It's gonna be tough when we get to my favorite B-side because there's a couple vying for it. But so there was some New Year's stuff with Helders and his wife. They seemed to be they were on the sort of airport concourse, so it looked like they'd been on a private jet. There was a couple of private jets behind them, which I thought, ooh, the money's coming in, isn't it? Yeah. So it looks like he'd been on maybe he picked up P Diddy's for cheap. In the sale. I know we have to expunge from the internet that Artie Monkeys were ever involved with P Diddy parties. They were at a P Diddy party. I like to think they were at the fake party on the top level, not the real party underneath.
There's no more Arctic Monkeys albums when Matt gets picked up and taken in.
No, he toured with P Diddy, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, geez, wow. I wonder if he knows anything. Interesting. But I mean, they must have asked him. He must have been asked because he's intrinsically linked to P Diddy, which would be horrible to be linked to him now, wouldn't it? Please don't have anything come out about Matt. I can't lose Matt. Could lose Jay-Z. I don't want to lose Matt. But yeah, they sort of look like they've been away for New Year. They're a cool couple, I think. I like Matt and his God, and I say that and then I completely forget a name. Which is embarrassing.
His new wife.
Yeah, I completely forgot her name. I know I see it on Instagram all the time. I'm terrible with remembering names. So, but yeah, and then Alex's birthday, Louise posted an absolutely. I mean, that man just looks great. So I thought it's his 39th birthday. Sat in the back of a car, and he's looked potentially the best I've ever seen him look. Like he looked great.
He's got a very
AM.
cinematic look. He
does, doesn't he?
Photography wise, yeah.
Yeah, and an old school film star, I feel like a sort of 70s film star. He's got that kind of motif. Yeah, he's just aging like a fine wine at this point, unlike Jamie, who's aging like a rotting tree, I think. He went from sort of handsome young man to sort of lined-faced old man all of a sudden. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, bless him. We love him. But yeah, Alex's birthday, obviously. Many happy returns to Alex. And yeah, join as a subscriber and go check out his birthday episode. Which I don't know. Did you do the Matt Helder's birthday episode? Was my favorite of the birthday episodes because there was so much cool music in there. Thankfully,
I used to listen to that a lot. Yeah, when it first came out. Yeah, his little mix thing that he did.
Yeah, his version of Dreamer is my favorite version of Dreamer. Actually, I love that. So let's go into our favorite lyric, which is gonna be
Too busy with the mind on clever lines.
I'll let you go first.
I just picked the Mark for Ginny with the drawing compass on the backseat. Of the two verses, I picked that one just because it seemed more youthful, I guess.
It's interesting because I went with the other verse, which is
really?
I genuinely did. I wrote I was here, I.D.S.T on the bathroom mirror because I think not only have I done that without the I was here, but I think it was a romantic thing, but I think I did that, and I like the way he says I was here, I.D.S.T. They went full Northern for that one. So yeah, I like that one. But yes, and again, another probably easy pick is the musical moment.
Mad sounds in your ears. They make you get up and dance. They make you get up.
What a song. I think I'm really excited to do AM because I had Suck It and See was such a big, I've been talking about lyrics for Suck It and See for about 10 years to nobody that wants to listen. So to talk about it on this has been great. So now moving into AM and getting that kind of experience, because I don't really listen to it a lot, to be honest, for a while, is going to be really exciting, I think, to do AM. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited to listen.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. It's a shame I was really gutted things didn't work out where we did Knee Socks in January, just for the whole January Blues line, but we can't have it all, I guess. So I'd say I'm going to go with the bass for this one, the bass riff.
I actually went with the guitar solo.
Ah, yes, they are the two options, and we both went the other way again.
Yeah, that is wild. Limited options. We both picked two different things.
And you know what? I do love the solo. Absolutely, it probably is the best bit of the song, but there's something just about that bass riff's like far better than it deserves. Like it needs to be. Like he's just pulled it out of his arse to do this amazing bass solo in this sort of Brick by Brick 2.0. I do have a brief hot take. It's something I wanted to put to you.
She flicks a red hot revelation off the tip of her tongue.
Okay, so I've mentioned this a couple of times with Don't Sit Down, potentially Brick by Brick. Is this era guilty of taking great rock riffs and using them in comedy songs that could have been like better songs with more like poignant lyrics? Or is that why they're the band that we all love? Because they have the balls to do that, to go, you know what, we got this great rocky song, so we're just going to make it silly. Because I think, if in my opinion, it's a self-conscious thing where they think to do this sort of rock song is not really a cool thing to do in this way. So if we make it funny lyrics, then it kind of gives us a pass to do it. Do you know what I mean? So
I kind of hope it's not that way, because up until now they have shown that they are not afraid to experiment. You know, they did Humbug. Because you could say the whole thing about Humbug as a whole of, oh, you're gonna go to America, you're gonna pretend like you're Queens of the Stone Age, or, you know, do that, but they took it seriously and they made it their own. So I would kind of hope that's not the attitude they're taking. But
I think what I mean is, okay, so maybe excuse Don't Sit Down from that, because I think Don't Sit Down is genuinely like a really like good riff that if you put other music to it, could be like a big rock song.
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But for this one and perhaps Brick by Brick, and it's I'm putting my mind in their mind, in my mind, as like a northern person,
Yeah.
right? The way that we are, we wouldn't. If we did this, because we're in America, we're doing Queens of Stone Age songs, and these are kind of Queens of Stone Age riffs, but they're not as good as Queens of Stone Age riffs. And we know that people are going to think they sound like Queens of Stone Age, and people are going to. Northern attitude is to go, who do they think they are doing this?
Yeah.
And I think that would play up, not that they're self-conscious in the way that it worries them, but just they're like, my instant reaction as a Northern person, and probably Nick could obviously speak to this, would be like, oh, we've got to make the lyrics funny because people are just going to laugh at us doing this kind of stuff. Like, we're very conscious of stuff like that here, of like people taking the piss at, like, you never want your mate to take the piss out of you for seeming to be too pretentious. Like, that's serious, like a Northern, that's kind of a thing that we have here, very much so.
I gotcha.
I've gotten the stick for that myself many a time, but it's the mindset that we have, that like it's kind of unique, and I don't know if a lot of people that aren't from here understand the why we would do that. So it's not so much that we're scared to do it, it's just our reaction is to just go, oh, this is ridiculous, let's take the piss out of it. That's kind of how we would do it. It's putting yourself
self-deprecating.
Self-deprecating is what we do constantly. I can't take a compliment without a problem. If somebody says to me, "Oh, that was great," and I'll go like, "Oh yeah, but I didn't really do much to do it. It was a bit shit." Yeah. Like it's very, I can't look someone in the eye to give me a compliment. It's a very thing that we have here. Whereas obviously in America it's very different in that, some places. So yeah, it's cool, but I think Don't Sit Down is the only one where I would genuinely say I think it genuinely would have been a big rock song if they'd have done some lyrics that were more like, like a Foo Fighters track or something like that, like that kind of world. If you just did, ironically, if you just did songs about a hot girl like AM, AM's a good example. AM's a good example that part of the album's success is that it is about sex and women and stuff like that. That is the sexy allure of it. So I think if he'd done that, we Don't Sit Down, I don't mind it. I think Don't Sit Down's hilarious and funny, and I like that about it. But again, I always wonder how that humor in a song plays abroad, because again, that's a very thing here, that humor in a song, there's a lot of Northern bands that put humor in lyrics, and I don't hear that as much in American stuff. So I always wonder how that hits you when it's comical. Does it seem out of sorts, or does it even do you not even understand that it's comical, I suppose, sometimes?
Well, I think it'll be, so I'll save it for the wrap up, because I do have like a little, like some takes on the wrap up for that. So
okay, cool. Yeah, it'll be good to go through the lyrics as well, some of the lyrics review on that as well, get your take on that. So yes, thank you very much for joining me for this one, and a teaser there of the wrap up and what we're going to be talking about, among a lot of other things, and me trying to rate Suck It and See, although the first few are a lockdown. and you're gonna have very different takes on things, I think, which is gonna be interesting. As you did for Humbug, to be fair, but I think that always spices it up a bit because me and Nick inexplicably somehow always have the same. Even though I think we're gonna be
Very
different, we always
similar.
have the same opinion. So it's good to get someone else to mix it up. Someone so far removed from our life experiences, probably. So yeah, thank you. Obviously, I'll put your show, Straight Chilling Podcast, in the show notes. People that want to check that out. And are you joining us for Evil Twin as well?
Yeah, I'm definitely down
Yeah.
to do Evil Twin.
Is that after Little Illusion Machine? Is that like the next?
Or You and I is the only other one. So I think
So
it
it's
is
gotta
after
be there or
Little
two.
Illusion Machine. Yeah.
So you're going to be on very soon. So you're all going to get a lot of Justin.
Yeah.
As well. Who, as we said in the pre-show, is now a subscriber, so he's essentially paying to hear himself during this run. Maybe not so much for AM. Do you have a song that you know you'd come on for AM for? Do you have like a specific AM song that
So
rocks
in
you
my
both?
mind, the ones I've come on, because I didn't so even though Evil Twin doesn't necessarily stick to necessarily lyrically the themes, but because I'm on a horror podcast, I like the idea for coming on sinister sounding B-sides. So of the ones I would come on, You're So Dark
yeah.
would make the most sense for
which
AM.
is my favorite Ice Monkeys B-side ever.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I think, at this point. So, yeah, because it's got a lot of cool horror references in it as well, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
Well, if you count the monsters as horror, I'm not sure if you do. Yeah, it's well, that'll be cool. Yeah, You Also Doubt. That's a good one. So, I just want to apologize for everyone because I just said which one floats your boat, which is a phrase that no one's used for about 40 years. So I just want to apologize to everyone for me saying that. But we will move into the introduction for next week's song, which is a special treat this week.
Oh, man.
Push the button and we'll do the rest.
So I use AI a lot now, obviously, as we all do for work and stuff. We've got the Apple Intelligence thing on everything now, so as well. So I usually sometimes I give it a little nod. Like last month for this one, I put in, give me a kind of school days romanticized description of the song. Give it a little prod just to get it there. For this one, the prompt that I gave it was a specific task, which I can see if you. I'm not going to tell you. I want to see if you can spot what that specific task was, and it rose to the occasion brilliantly, I might add. So here's the description of next week's track. Little Illusion Machine is like a Twilight carnival ride operated by Miles Kane, the charismatic yet unnervingly odd ringleader. You can't help but side-eye as he grins too wide, his top hat slightly askew. He's the Wirral Riddler, a mischievous shadow who flits through rooms, planting cryptic clues and pocketing your sense of normalcy. He's always one step ahead, riding his own riddle like a ghost train through the gloom, and you're not entirely sure if you're invited along for the ride or being haunted by it. Miles has the energy of that peculiar neighbour who stares just a little too long while tending his overgrown garden, or the guy at a party who corners you with a suspiciously compelling card trick. There's charm, sure, but also a hint of, should I call someone? As he leans in with a wink and whispers about Letter's illusions of some mysterious destination called Wirral. It's fun, theatrical, and laced with an unsettling allure. The song wraps you up in a spell where Kane's creeping presence becomes the mischievous force, dragging you deeper into his little illusion machine. You might laugh, but you'll also double-check the locks. So what I prompted it to do there was to give me a description of Little Illusion Machine, but also making it quite clear that Miles Kane is a creep.
Yeah, creep.
So
I was going to say suspicious of Miles Kane. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it did an excellent job there. About that.
I will say that anytime on bonus content or anytime the knocking on Miles comes up, it cracks me up every time. It's so funny.
That's what I
love
said
that
because we
shit.
had that listener who emailed who wanted to become a subscriber, but he couldn't stand the thought of us talking about Miles on Shadow
yeah.
Puppets. And I was like, don't worry, because if you don't like Miles, it's all Miles bashing. There's no compliments.
It's
Like
so
apart from the fact that I think
funny.
apart from the fact he's great on guitar, that's all I'll give him. But it's only going to get worse, and I don't know how to feel about a third Shadow Puppets era now that he's slipped into this way in our heads. But it'll be fun if nothing else. So yeah. By the way, do you know what the Wirral Riddler refers to?
Isn't that the area where he's from?
Yes, the Wirral is a place in Liverpool where.
Okay.
I think people from Liverpool would say it's the posh place. It's the place where the rich people live. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the fact. It's where the sort of, as Nick would put it, the Tories live in Liverpool, I think, which are very rare. But yeah, sorry, I've just offended everyone from Liverpool by saying that the Tories are present there. They fucking hate that, so I apologise already. But yeah, so that's where he's from, I assume, and he's a Riddler, obviously, from there. So I have to say, we'll talk about it next week, obviously, but I do find this song very funny that they've posed it in this way, as him being the Will Riddler. Like, it's such a great in-joke. Yeah, I love it. But there'll be a lot of Miles bashing next week, I would imagine. As again,
I'm sure it'll be awesome.
It's basically just got to be. Yeah, that's why I get worried if the band ever did listen to the podcast, that they'll be upset about us slagging off Miles all the time.
Well, maybe like Jamie and Nick will think it's like pretty funny. Everybody else will be like, oh,
yeah, yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for joining, and I will see. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for Evil Twin. Yeah, and I will see everyone else next week.
Don't Believe the Hype is hosted and produced weekly by Nick Lee and Dan Holt. The music used in the titles is royalty-free music courtesy of Les FM. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast player of choice to be notified every Wednesday when a new episode is released. And if you want to help us out further, be sure to like and review to help make us more visible to like-minded souls. We will see you next week with more of the same.